Every year, taxpayers in Canada pay more than $16 billion in tax penalties and interest to the CRA. And even much more is paid to the IRS in the United States. Even though small and medium-sized businesses don't get up and choose to break tax rules, at least not intentionally, they pay a lion's share of these tax penalties. On this episode, we're going to be discussing why small businesses pay tax penalties and fines and how we can avoid them. Welcome back to SME Finance Playbook. And if you're just finding us, here we discuss bookkeeping, tax, accounting, finance hiring, small business management, and the future of finance work. Let's get to it. Many business owners believe that tax penalties happen because they intentionally neglect their tax filing obligations. But this is only part of the story. In most cases that I've seen, tax penalties happen because something is broken in the operating finance system. And there are several reasons why small businesses might end up getting tax penalties. We are going to list and explain 6 of them and give you tips on how to prevent them. 1. Late filing. Every tax that has to be paid has a coverage period, which is the basis for calculation, a deadline for declaration, and a deadline for payment. When the deadline is missed, usually there's a penalty attached to that. Bookkeepers, accountants, tax professionals are always aware of these deadlines, and sometimes they miss it, but small business owners must be aware of these timelines and make sure that they file before time if they want to keep away from the penalties that may result from non-filing of taxes within the tax deadline. The next and maybe the most important cause of tax penalties is the poor bookkeeping. The quality of the data that you use in determining your taxes usually determines whether the amount of tax that you have filed is correct or wrong. So if your bookkeeping is not up to date, your numbers are incorrect, then the amount that you calculate and pay as tax will be incorrect. So ensure that you have good bookkeeping, up-to-date bookkeeping. It's a good way of ensuring that you pay the correct amount of tax and avoiding any tax penalties. The next common reason is incorrect sales tax filing. So this is specific because sales tax filing most times is done monthly. So you do it so many times in the year compared to like income tax where you just have to do it once a year, like at the end of the year. So if you incorrectly report your monthly sales, you incorrectly report the amount that you have on your invoices. For example, most small businesses just record payments when the payment went out of the bank, forgetting that normally it is when you receive your invoice for goods that you have purchased that you're supposed to book. So if there's a confusion with what you're booking and what you're declaring because of not recognizing the correct way of classifying those expenses and revenues, then you end up reporting the wrong sales and end up reporting the wrong expenses, which affect the amount of the tax that is determined and paid on monthly basis. Then sometimes those inaccuracies or inconsistencies can be flagged at the level of the tax authorities, and then they will come to you and maybe ask for a review, and any errors will lead to a tax penalty. Another reason, and this is also a specific area, is payroll taxes. So payroll taxes also have like a whole set of specific rules and regulations in terms of the basis of calculating the different types of taxes and deductions from the employee and from the employer, and the retainments that have to be also deducted and paid, the timeliness for determining and paying those taxes. So usually small business owners who are not finance inclined will not know how to manage things like this. Bookkeepers who do not have a good accounting background will not know how to handle things like this. So you have a situation where small business owners don't know what to do. They hire just bookkeepers, again, because they want something that is cheap and affordable, who cannot also manage things like this. And they end up submitting deductions to the government with errors, and the system that the government has can easily detect that something is wrong, right, based on the numbers that you have submitted as your salaries and the amount that you're paying as taxes. And usually once this accumulates for some time, then the government probably comes for some review, and then you end up paying tax fines. Whether you're a small or a big business, we always advise that you make sure that for payroll, you get somebody who has some good knowledge about basis for determining payroll taxes and payroll deductions, and work with them to ensure that they are, determining the amount that you are supposed to deduct and pay correctly, just to avoid some of these penalties. Another common reason is the fact that a small business owner will hire a professional and assume that the professional has everything under control in terms of the tax declaration and payment. And my perception about this is that the business owner should assume responsibility regardless of whether this is an accountant or a bookkeeper that they have hired in-house, or is some freelancer that they hire who is supposed to be doing their tax. The small business owner should be aware of tax deadlines. The small business owner should be aware of whether the professional is working towards declaring the taxes on time. So sometimes these people have 10, 20 clients that they are working with, so it's easier for them to miss it than you who is looking out for your business. The sixth reason, which I will discuss today, will be lack of oversight. So every professional accountant will tell you that the quality of your financial reporting depends on oversight. And that is why you will see the biggest accounting firms, the biggest companies will have a line of accountant, senior accountant, manager, senior manager, director, CFO, and so on and so forth. That is because the different layers and the quality control that is done at those layers is what brings the overall quality and efficiency of the output that is produced from the accounting system, right? So in a small business, if, for example, you hire somebody in-house and because of low of budget, you just hire maybe an accountant who is kind of doing your bookkeeping, he's doing the accounting and doing the analysis and doing everything, it makes sense to get a professional from outside who might just come in there and do maybe 1 or 2 hours a month just to supervise what they are doing, to look at the taxes before they go out. You will discover that you'll be saving yourself a lot of the money that you might have paid, right, if the quality of the work was not done correctly, and then you end up paying tax penalties. If you were hiring a freelancer, don't go to the open marketplaces or just go on Google and hire anybody from out there and give them your books to manage. You should be looking for managed marketplaces for finance professionals, specifically like Rixlow, where they actually have a structure where they don't only match you with a professional, but they have an oversight layer who will be doing the job of the oversight for you in terms of checking on the deadlines, reviewing the taxes before they go out, making sure that everything is done on time, making sure that the quality of the work that is going out is in compliance with the tax law or the international financial reporting standard. That kind of gives you that extra layer of protection, and you can be rest assured that what you're sending out is of the quality that is expected, and you might not in that case need to hire some extra professional from outside to supervise the work, right? So you have these two options. Now let's talk about how to prevent these tax penalties. In my experience, I usually will classify all of the points and the reasons I have discussed above into two main categories. And that is to say, I think there are two principal reasons why small businesses get tax penalties. And those are late filings and wrong filings. I see late filings usually like a management problem. That is something that the small business can easily manage. And I see wrong filing like a quality problem. That is something that the business owner might find outside help to help them manage if they are not financially inclined. And in most cases, they are not. So let's discuss more about this. Yeah, late filings here simply means that you didn't file on time, as simple as that. So it is either maybe you file 1 or 2 days late, or you failed to file completely and then the tax authority came with a letter and you had to file on a later date, and all of that comes with penalties. The way to prevent this, I think that this is something that management first of all can handle by simply being aware of the timeline for filing all the different taxes that have to be filed. It is not very difficult to go out there and just browse to know what is the filing deadline for sales tax for your business in your particular province or in a particular region or country where you are. To solve the issue of lateness, the business owner simply needs to keep a compliance calendar, or what I simply call a checklist. So it can be something that you keep on Excel and just have check boxes that you check every month. On this checklist, you simply have to have for every tax that you're supposed to declare for your kind of business, the deadline for declaring the tax, and have 1 week before that deadline to follow up with your bookkeeper or your accountant or your tax person to know whether maybe they are on track to declare it, and have them report to you once they have declared it. Right? That will totally and completely reduce the probability of you failing to declare your tax on time by 90%. The other big part is wrong filings, and for wrong filings, I call this a quality problem. And quality problem is really difficult usually for a small business owner to solve by themselves because they are not finance experts, and of course that is why they hire a bookkeeper or a tax person to help them with their taxes. So the optimum solution for me is if you already have somebody in-house who is your accountant, but that accountant does not have all the capabilities that are needed, you should just hire some extra help from outside. So if you hire some professional, the same like we discussed earlier, hire a professional who has the experience. Depending on the level of complexity of your transaction, this professional might just come at the end of every week for 1 or 2 hours to check what the accountant is doing in terms of bookkeeping, in terms of categorization of transactions, and then come at the end of the month if you're doing your sales tax to also double check that the values in the reports are fine, the sales, the expenses have been reported correctly, and the amount that have been determined as taxes to be declared are also done correctly. And that will be something that he does for maybe 1 or 2 hours before you do the filing, and that will ensure that your bookkeeping is fine, the numbers are fine, and your tax declarations are fine. This particular element really goes a long way to reduce the probability of your tax filing, and you do this without having to, recruit that expert in-house. And advice also is that hire this extra professional from a managed platform, because on a managed platform, Rixlow, for example, this professional would have been vetted, an interview would have been conducted. They would have verified that they actually are as qualified and experienced as they purport to be. That way, you will not, when you are looking to hire some professional like this, you will not need to go through all the stress of doing extra interview or verifying their criminal record and their identification. It's just kind of a go pick and pluck, and they do the job for you. An alternative is if you don't have somebody in-house, right? The advice is also similar. Just hire from a managed professional platform where they don't only match you with a bookkeeper or a tax person, but they have the extra layer of oversight as part of the deal that is given to you. That way you're sure that whatever the professional is putting out there is of high quality. More and more topics and discussions like this matter because today we see a trend where technology and AI is upending the way accounting processes and tax filing is being done. And there are more and more finance professionals who are choosing the independent route, working as freelancers or as small firms. This, of course, gives a bigger pool for small and medium-sized businesses to choose from, but that also comes with the risk of making sure that you select the right support for your business needs. Hiring a bookkeeper, an accountant, or a tax expert is not simply about finding someone to do the work, but ensuring that the work is done correctly, consistently, and on time. I will leave you with these questions. If the tax authority were to review your filings tomorrow, how confident will you be in your financial records? And if the answer to this is uncertain, then you need help. Sign up to Risklow today. And thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.